two-way race. It's me versus Win Moore. There's not going to be any Republican running, so by all means, if you could help out with that campaign, I would appreciate it. But just a bit briefly on why I'm running. Like Don mentioned, in 2014, I ran for Secretary of State, and we did that in part as a plan that George Myers is. He's around here somewhere. There's George. George Myers proposed as to how we were going to get our ballot access back. And I'm pleased to say that we did that. Because myself, our Attorney General candidate, Tom Nelson, and our State Treasurer candidate all got over 1%. That means that this year, this November, the Libertarian presidential nominee will be on the ballot automatically in Wisconsin. Just real briefly, for those of you who don't know me, can usually guess pretty quick, I'm not originally from Milwaukee. I originally grew up in Arkansas. Met my husband Brian, who grew up in West Bend, who lives here in Milwaukee, and that's how I ended up moving here a few years ago. And I just can't stand the idea that I would go into the ballot box on November for state assembly or Congress or any other office, and there's only one name on the ballot. That's unacceptable, and it should be unacceptable for all of us. When we have these safe seat incumbents that the Republicans and Democrats don't bother to run against, there's no Republican going to bother to run. In a few of the other districts, there'll be no Democrats. They're saying to people, you don't even get an election. You don't have a choice. Your representative's been appointed for you by a party machine. That is what we're going up against in the 4th District against Win Moore. Now, Dan Sebring is a great guy, was just elected to the county board, a friend of mine. He's run as a Republican the past 3 elections. He's not running this time. He got 25% with the Republican ballot label in a district that is very hostile to Republicans. I'm confident that a coalition of people who believe in fiscal responsibility, who want their lower taxes and to be left alone by the nightmare regulatory state we see on display in Milwaukee in particular, together with those on the left who are fed up with the partisan hypocrisy over war and peace. When George W. Bush was president, Win Moore was the leader of the Out of Iraq Caucus. Bring our troops home now. Yeah, all right. What does she do when her guy's in office and sends the Wisconsin National Guard just earlier this year back to Iraq? Silence. Because it's her team in charge now doing it. So I would bring articles of impeachment against any president of any party who committed the American Armed Forces to war without congressional authorization. That's one of my big issues is war and foreign policy. Another one I'll just touch on briefly is civil liberties. With the violations that we have, thanks to Edward Snowden and several other whistleblowers, we know a lot more about it and just how horrendous it has gotten with these national security state. This is straight Orwellian 1984 stuff when you're talking about the government database of who you called, when you called, who you talked to, what emails you exchanged with them. And it has not caught a single terrorist, has not saved a single life. The same thing for the TSA. All those man hours you waiting to get groped at the airport, not a single life has been saved by it. And so that's the kind of, not just libertarian principle, we have to bring this cost-benefit analysis to it. We have to be able to explain to the American people and to our fellows in Congress, if any of us gets elected, that, all right, we believe this because of libertarian principle. Let me explain to you on your own terms why this is better. By your own stated goals, our policy will be better. And so that's the future I see for our party. I see us becoming a third major political party. I do see it happening. We've got this year a presidential candidate who could potentially be up in the double digits in debates. And the down ticket effect of that is very exciting for all of our potential candidates here in the room. If we have a presidential candidate doing 11% like the most recent poll, that could be huge. That could be winning seats down ticket. And I hope it's me, but I would certainly be just as ecstatic if it was Jordan and George or Matthew or any of our other candidates for state assembly and Congress. I ask you to support all of them. We are working hard to get our petition signatures, and we need your help with that. So in order to get our petition signatures done, I would ask you to please help with that. And one last thing I'll mention. Last Wednesdays of the month at Los Mariachis Mexican Restaurant on Layton Avenue is where the Milwaukee County Libertarian Party meets. Come out and say hello. Thank you.